What's up, guys? This is the second episode of the Explicit Materia podcast, and it was pretty damn awesome. My guest today is the guitar player of New Politics, and happens to be one of my very good friends, who also happens to be an excellent songwriter, guitar player, vocalist, piano player, can play basically anything. It's kind of infuriating because just to see how talented of a musician he is, and he's always driven and constantly being inspired to write new material. It's just, man, it's just really just cool to have a friend like him. I've had the pleasure of kind of sitting in and listening to what they've come up with for their new record, and it is, man, it's fucking good. It's so good. I can't wait for the rest of the world to hear it because it's just a really good rock record. It's definitely going to be, it's definitely their best record that they've come out with yet. So, Soren and I met when we toured together years ago, and I found out that he is actually an avid gamer just like myself, and we kind of like bonded over, just talking about like role-playing games and like Skyrim and Fallout and stuff like that on the road, and it was just really cool to meet another nerd like myself who's also a musician, so that was pretty cool. He's a big fan of role-playing games, and specifically sci-fi type games. He's into that. So for this episode, he was kind enough to let me set up in his studio here in Nashville, because he moved here from New York, and I've been trying to get him to do that for years, and now we live 15 minutes away from each other, and it's been awesome. For this podcast, we actually started talking about, Mass Effect, because we both are big fans of the series, and we talked about Mass Effect and Diablo 3, life in America, just life in general. We went on a couple little tangents about just life and not video games, but video games are in there, I promise. Yeah, it was just a really, really awesome talk, and it's just really fun to talk with him, and I'm glad that I got to do this with him, and hopefully I'll get to do it again in the future with him, because he's just an awesome dude to talk to. Okay, enough of that. Without further ado, here is Soren Hansen. Soren Hansen.
It's me.
How's your tour going?
It's good.
How's the show? I mean, you haven't started the tour yet, but how's the shows promoting the new album? We're going to get the plug out of the way first, okay. And then we'll start talking about nerdy shit.
Okay, cool. It's good. It's good. We released the song about a month ago, and we've just been doing some radio stuff, and then we're preparing for the 2-month tour with 311 this summer.
3 motherfucking 11.
Yep.
That's so cool.
I know. I'm gonna watch them a lot. I mean, they're like legends.
Have you met them at all before?
No,
is this the first time you?
Yeah, it's gonna be the first time. But I think we're playing a show with them before that. But I heard that they're the nicest people. Actually, one of our crew guys is out with their guitar tech right now. I think that, or drum tech. But everybody's saying that they're just the nicest people in the world. So it's gonna be good.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
Are you gonna buy a Switch so you can take it along with you?
That's a really good question.
Or are you just gonna be in your own dungeon in the bus making music like you always do?
So I think I'm gonna. I think my well, David just had a baby 2 days ago. So
wait, she had the baby already?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
No,
congrats, David.
Yeah, congrats.
That's fucking awesome. Congrats.
You're
big daddy now.
I know. So he's probably going to fly home a lot to see his family. And I thought about just bringing out a studio on the road and then finishing pretty much writing a bunch of songs and just try to be inspired by, all the time we have and stuff. So I'm really excited, actually. It's going to be good. I don't think I'm gonna get a Switch, but probably when I see Zelda, I'm gonna kind of freak out, and I'm gonna get a Switch. Like first week, I'm gonna try not to. I'm feeling really, really inspired these days. I've been very inspired lately, so I think I'm gonna try and take advantage of that situation.
Yeah, it's interesting for us musicians. Like, Because musicians play video games too.
A lot, actually.
A lot.
More than people know.
People like me, I actually get inspired by video game music. So,
yeah, that's awesome.
When people ask me like, "What's your favorite music?" I feel like kind of weird by it's like, well, I really am inspired by Nobuo Uematsu.
Yeah, I love that.
And they'll look at me like I'm who? I'm like,
but
he's just the best composer to any video game.
You know what
ever.
is really cool? Our drummer Louis, that you also know, he
Louis V.
He loves video game music just as much, almost just as much as you. Like some of his favorite. Who was it? Was it Zed that did all these remixes with Zelda? He did Zelda.
Yes, Zed did which is
amazing.
That was the first song that someone showed me.
Yeah.
Of Zed.
Yeah.
And that was before he became all big and huge stuff. I was like, this is the most awesome remix ever made.
I know, it's incredible. It's incredible.
He's one of those guys that is just good at everything. Like there was like a small like commercial, I think it was like Apple Music or something, or it was Guitar Center or some sort of commercial where he was just showcasing all the instrument he plays. Like he's playing piano, which he's obviously fucking Mozart at. Just and then he went and played the drums, and he was just like killing it on the drums. I was like,
I didn't know
fuck
that.
you, Zed.
That's amazing.
You're too damn good.
That's crazy. I didn't know that, actually.
Yeah, he's one of those guys who can just play anything.
That's awesome. Nice. Yeah, he's definitely. I remember hearing that, and funny enough, you drummers, you love video game music.
I didn't know that about Lou.
No, he's like obsessed with a lot of 80s music, and I think because his dad was listening to it a lot, but also video game music is, I get it, it's like lullabies, the simple melodies, but sometimes not simple at all.
Yeah,
but,
a lot of it's really complicated, but it's but it's played in such a way where you think it's simplistic.
Yeah, and it's super catchy, and those, maybe also because if you play games, you hear that song a lot, so it just becomes
it's
a hit.
funny. Like people give me shit. Like my friends give me shit because I have a Zelda tattoo on my back, and when people ask me like, "What's the last Zelda game you played?" Like I haven't played all the Zeldas, and quite frankly, I haven't beat a Zelda since Link to the Past. I sort of beat Ocarina of Time with my friend because we pass it back and forth, but I don't really count that because he was the one that actually played most of the game, and he had an N64. I did not have an N64, so I would go to his house, and when we'd play it and we'd try to beat it.
The most embarrassing thing is I've never played a Zelda game, and I'm obsessed with every kind of game that is modeled after Zelda.
Well, this was my point, is that so it's like, so you have a Zelda tattoo and you haven't beat any of them. You should be the Zelda master if you have a tattoo on your back. I was like, well, hold on for a second. The reason why I got the tattoo is because when I was really young and I had my Nintendo Entertainment System, when I put in Zelda, that fucking gold box, which I thought was the coolest thing in the world,
amazing,
that little golden little cartridge, and I put it in, and that song that came on, it's like so epic, and as a little kid you're like, yes, I must save the Princess Zelda. God damn it, I have to do this.
That's so
this is all I have to do. And like from then on, it cemented my love for video game music, because the game, and not just music, just video games in general, because it just like, it was a way of escaping life. And to this day I still use it as a meditative thing in my life. Like that's my meditation. That's
awesome,
my way of sitting down and just be like, cut out the rest of the world and be like, I don't want to deal with fucking house shit, or I got to mow the lawn tomorrow, or I have this thing I have to do, or I have to learn 13 songs in 3 days. Like I'll get to it. I just need to just chill out for a second.
That's awesome. Yeah. No, that's a great story. I love when there is something behind a tattoo, where there is memories and a story, because in the end tattoos are the most personal things, because it's something that's going to be with you forever, but it's very relative what's meaningful to you and what would be meaningful to anyone else. So I love that about tattoos, though.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, do you have any tattoos?
I don't.
Yeah, I've never noticed that. I mean, I obviously
no tattoos and no piercings ever.
Is that purpose?
No,
Is that on
not
purpose?
really. It just never happened. I think I grew up in Denmark. In Denmark, where I grew up, because it wasn't in Copenhagen. That was Copenhagen is a little bit cooler than where I grew up. I grew up in the country, and nobody had tattoos. It was kind of, unless they had a tribal tattoo, and I never.
Was it kind of looked down upon out there? Like,
not really. Just wasn't
just no one ever did it.
normal.
It's like, we're cool enough. We don't need fucking tattoos.
Yeah, I think it's more I see in Copenhagen now. You see a lot of people with tattoos, and in general, I think it's actually very American. What happened to the tattoo culture? It didn't really hit Denmark until later. Now I see a lot of people with tattoos, but even when I lived there, which was only like 7 years ago or something, since I moved to America, nobody really had tattoos, which was kind of. It was kind of. Then you came to America and people had sleeves and all this stuff, and you'll see it on in music videos. I never thought of it. It was weird. I always thought it looked cool, but it wasn't like never thought of it.
Something that you wanted to do.
Yeah, it never really registered with me. I think I was too much of a nerd, and I was too much into the whole writing and stuff that I never really cared about fashion or those kind of things. Like, not that much actually. It never really hit me.
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
I know I talked about it a little bit on the last podcast, but I'm still playing Mass Effect right now.
Mm-hmm.
Or how far have you gotten in Mass Effect?
So I'm the kind of guy that when I play a video game, I play all the side missions.
Me too.
I heard people say, first of all, people hate on the game. A lot. And I think it's actually really good. But I'm also a huge fan of Mass Effect. Like, I played all 3 of them and completed all of them, which is pretty crazy to think about, because I never complete games. I just always do the side missions.
It's hard to complete games in our lives. Especially being a musician, constantly on the road. It's really hard because there's so many distractions.
Yeah.
It's, especially if you're on the bus and there's only one television.
Yeah.
And like, you got to share your time. You can't just be on the bus playing Mass Effect, a 60+ hour game.
I actually got one of those suitcases with a screen and a PlayStation.
Did you really?
Yeah. So that I could sit and play. And I got that because of a game, because of Fallout 4.
Oh, yes.
So when Fallout came out, I got that box just because of that. Because I didn't want to share.
I'm so jealous of you right now. I actually talked about it with my friend on the last podcast. We talked about like getting those things, as suitcase things, and bringing it on the plane.
Oh, it's great. It's great. It fits in the overhead compartment and stuff.
And we're like, so how do you plug it up? You just, if you're on a plane, you just take the cord and plug it up in like the lavatory or something.
In the lavatory. It's like occupied for 3 hours.
Yeah,
it's like,
that's right.
Excuse me. It's like, stop, I'm about to be the boss. But I played all the 3 previous Mass Effects, and then I started on the new one. And I love sci-fi. I would say I probably love sci-fi more than fantasy. And the RPG games has always been my thing. I completed Fallout. I started on 3. I completed Fallout 3, and I completed Fallout 4, and I completed. I didn't complete Skyrim.
Skyrim's a hard one to complete.
I know, but I got to like level 56 or something, but I never completed.
You just keep finding side quests. You're like, I gotta do this side quest now. Oh, there's another one. Oh, God, I gotta do that one now.
Exactly. That's the thing with the new Mass Effect too. That I remember the first one, that I was so upset. I literally went to every single planet and did everything, like located every little tiny thing of something I could find, because I was so upset that the game was over. Got all the DLC and all that. And the new Mass Effect, I think I'm on the ice planet. I don't remember.
Which one is that? Vold, yes,
yeah.
Vold.
And I did the 2 other planets completely, and I mean, I think I'm level 20 something already, and I haven't gotten to. But I think you
level
really
up pretty
game.
Fast in this game. I think I'm already level 42.
Oh wow! So you're way
and I'm not
ahead
even
of me.
trying at this point. I'm just decimating people, and I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah.
I'm totally like, challenge upsets me.
What's like your go-to kind of type character? Machine gun in your face or stealth?
No, not stealth. I just go in there and guns blazing, fucking tear people out, Die Hard style.
Yeah.
Because, it's like, it's over-the-top shooter, so I'm like, well...
Yeah.
I mean, but it's cool, like, what they did with the combat, like... of course, you had the Omni Blade, but I didn't find out until later that you can get an Asari sword, and you just have, like, it's kind of like a lightsaber, and it's not really... Like, if you press the melee button at the right time, you just go in this kind of animation and automatically lock on your target, and you just go like, you can pass through, like, objects. You kind of, like, teleport.
Wait, really?
To attack. Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah. Get the Asari sword, man. Research it.
Okay,
develop
that
it. It's
sounds
pretty
cool,
fun.
yeah.
I like it.
I'm still on the Omniblade.
So there's stuff like that, and I like how you can jump up and then slam down.
Yeah.
Like, that's really cool. That's really fun. So I play as a soldier.
Nice.
And but what's cool, it's like you can kind of cross class a little bit.
Yeah.
You can learn, like, more and more biotic
Yeah,
abilities.
yeah.
There's, like, no... Because, in the previous Mass Effects, it's like if you're a biotic, you only do biotic stuff. You can't do soldier stuff.
Yeah.
In this game, you can do anything
you want.
even if you choose to be a soldier. But there's cross classes.
I love that. Yeah, also because you unlock other classes and then you pretty much just switch over.
Yeah, so I like that. That's cool. See, there's stuff that the new Mass Effect does that's really cool that it's overshadowed by everyone's hatred for the game.
I think it's very similar in a way to Dragon Age. To the last Dragon Age, and it's the same guys that makes it, but I feel like that's a good thing because that was one of the things I was missing a lot, especially in Mass Effect 2, was that it wasn't as open world as the open world is the way to go.
Are you talking about Dragon Age Inquisition or
that one is pretty open world too?
Yeah,
but the one before that was the furthest from
Dragon Age 2.
Just like, Dragon Age 1 was amazing. Dragon Age 2 sucked, and then Dragon Age 3, the new one, I think it's great, and it's very similar to Mass Effect, which makes me wonder why people hate so much. And I heard there's a lot of glitches and little weird things, and apparently the voice acting could be better. I think it's fine. But
yeah, I think it's.
I just love the game and the world of Mass Effect. It's incredible.
Yeah, I think they did. I think it's a pretty. I said something last podcast where I was like, you know what? I wonder what would happen if this game wasn't called Mass Effect. If it had nothing to do with the previous trilogy. Yeah, like if it was just a game on its own and some independent studio just made this game as is.
Yeah.
And would people think of it differently?
Yeah.
They don't have to think about Mass Effect in this level that it's accomplished over the years.
Yeah.
And it's just like a standalone game. I think people would love it. Honestly,
I think it's only gonna get better. Oh, you know what it is that I think that people also hate a little bit on? That Shepard was such a badass, and this guy's more like a jokester.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is like, I get that, but at the same time, I don't think it takes away from how cool the world is. And if you are into sci-fi, like I love sci-fi. I love Star Trek and Doctor Who and Star Wars and all that, everything from Guardians of the Galaxy, like any sci-fi I can get my hands on, I'm sold. Like I love sci-fi, and I think because of that, what's more fun for a sci-fi nerd than exploring somebody's vision of a galaxy? And I think that's the coolest thing. Like, first of all, any kind of movie like Avatar or those kind of movies about somebody who's a nobody who becomes something, that's always great. Mm-hmm. The story of the underdog who becomes a hero, any superhero movies, all this stuff, or anything, comics, books, anything. And then on top of that, finding ancient technology about a civilization that used to be, because I think I'm nerdy enough to think that actually is something that we're going to find here on Earth.
Dude,
maybe not necessarily technology, but definitely remnants of an ancient civilization.
Yeah, that I think is really cool about Mass Effect Andromeda. I think that was a great direction to put it, like discovering ancient because here, at least here in America and pretty much over the world, like what's that show that's on the History Channel now about Ancient Aliens.
Oh yeah.
I fucking fell in love with Ancient Aliens as soon as it premiered. When it was on Netflix for like a brief moment, I just binged all of the episodes.
That's amazing.
Like, they're among us. They've been among us the whole time. But
amazing.
I think like attacking that vein that we have this thing that we need to see. Like, have ancient aliens been here before?
Or is it just an ancient civilization that
humans have already we've already done this already? I think so. And we moved on and we've come back.
That's my philosophy. But you know what? This is all speculation. And the best part about speculation with these kind of things is that it is imagination, and imagination thinking that is possible. I think the worst thing you can possibly do as a human being is think that something is not possible, because in theory everything is possible, or it could be possible. And if you block yourself by thinking that that never happened, or that's completely impossible, then you're pretty much following the rules of what you have been taught your whole life,
right.
And you're leaving your imagination boxed in, and that's a very hard thing to do. But I think that's very related to musicians too, and artists in general, because we are drawing our inspiration from somewhere, and usually the inspiration comes from, if you go for a walk, you suddenly have the thought in your head, and that thought might be something that leads to something else. And if you had already blocked yourself from thinking in the unexplored and weird areas of the mind, then you're pretty much setting yourself up for failure. And I think that's why a lot of artists also love video games and things that are a little abstract, because in the end, that's all we have, and that's the only place we can draw inspiration to create something new.
Well, that's why a lot of people think that Steve Jobs was able to think so far out of the box. Mm-hmm. He was, according to sources, he was quite a dick about it. But at the same time, he has been known to take some hallucinogenic substances, and a lot of people think that him opening his mind and being inspired by just going through all these barriers that we constantly put ourselves around, or put around ourselves, rather. He was able to no, we can do this. It's fucking possible. So do it, and he was able to push it through and force people to think how he thought it was possible. Yeah. However dickish he could have been, but he fucking did it. I mean, he said, we can put thousands of songs on a little tiny little thing.
Yeah, he invented that.
And he did it.
That's amazing. I actually have to do one thing here really quick.
What's that?
Make sure it's still recording.
Oh, God. Okay. Is it still recording? Are we good?
We good.
Okay. Screensaver scared us.
Yeah.
So, I mean, back to Mass Effect. I think... so far, when I first played it, I was kind of on the fence. I was just kind of like, I'm not feeling that Mass Effect vibe yet. And it could have been a number of different reasons. And I think it's because, for me personally, at first, the original Mass Effect trilogy was very much a focused narrative. Like, it's not an open... None of those games are open world.
Yeah.
Even if you could, in the first one, you could go to these different planets, there's nothing there. There's it's just like...
It's like a house if you're lucky.
Yeah, there's like a base over there, and that's it. Yeah. And then you can go over here and get some treasure, but at the end of the day, this is just a blank planet. Yeah. And the second one kind of got rid of that, too. It kind of got rid of any sort of long maps like that and just, focused narrative. Yeah. But by doing that, it brought us into the world, because they were able to just... focus on these maps really and have just this really intense storyline, and then you had some side quests here and there, but all in all, it was about the story. Yeah. And then now with Mass Effect Andromeda, it's they have a pretty decent narrative going on, but they now it's thousands of side quests. Now it's a completely open world kind of game.
Yeah.
So now it's not just about the narrative, it's just about every other thing that's going on in all these different planets and all these different things that take your mind off of the narrative.
Yeah.
So I think that is too why people are kind of upset about the direction it went, because it at the end of the day, it doesn't really feel like Mass Effects of the past. In some ways it does, with the fact that you can go on the Tempest and talk to your crew members and stuff like that, and you can romance your characters, which I'm having so much fun with.
Of course.
Who are you romancing, by the way? Who's caught your eye, Soren?
Actually, so far I haven't really romanced anyone yet.
You're just like all about the work.
But
there's too much work to be done. I don't have time for this.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely. I have to save the world.
we have to colonize a planet.
Yeah.
We don't have time for this.
Yeah, I mean, you always have time for a little romance.
Just a
but
little bit.
I haven't decided yet. Probably the Asari, is that
PB, the little quirky one? Yeah, I think so too.
I like the blue. I think that's exotic and special.
It's so funny though when you're talking with PB or Cora or Liam, it's very obvious that Liam is the token romance character for gay men.
Yeah.
And Cora is the straight one.
Yeah.
It's very obvious because there's like different things. They kind of like push it in your face. They're like, this is Cora's romance line.
Yeah.
This is what you're supposed to do. This is what you're supposed to do. And then PB's kind of like, yeah, she's quirky and fun. If you want to romance her, fine.
Yeah.
And then Liam's the same way, where they have like different situations that are they kind of like, hey, he's the guy. He's the guy that you're supposed to be with. And it's weird how, I don't know. It kind of feels forced, the romance options.
Really? I did
a little bit.
I didn't really explore it. I think that I remember was Mass Effect 3 the first game that also introduced gay romance?
Yes.
Which I thought was so
3.
awesome.
And you know who voiced? What was his name? I forget. Freddie Prinze Jr. voiced.
Oh, really?
The gay romance option guy, and I can't remember who his name was, but it was a really interesting.
I think it's awesome that they.
Yeah, that's cool. A lot of people give him shit for that. It was like, don't force it down our throat. It's like, they're gay people play video games, right? Give them something. But not only that,
also because it's good to put focus on those kind of things, because it's been such a big taboo for so long, and it's kind of sad.
I mean, so it's changing. I love it's getting better, and I think a lot of people in today's world, it's so easy to get caught up with negativity.
Yeah.
It's hard to focus on the positive things that are going on. It's like I was thinking about this the other day, and I was like, it's at one point in our lives, even like 20 years ago, which was almost 2000, even like 20 years ago, gay people couldn't get married. And it was
in
just
Denmark they could actually.
I mean, yeah, but in America, I'm talking about in America, which of course we're always slow on the liberal shit like that. But
it's weird like that, because you have certain things that are extremely advanced and certain things that are not. But I also think that you have a European country is very slow moving and traditional, where America is very fast moving, and sometimes it can be backwards over here too, which is I think it's also one of the hardest things, but also one of the most inspiring things, because you have so many different opinions and so much national pride in America too, and I think that there's something really good about that and something really bad about that at the same time. So that's one of the reasons why I love living in America too, because you have such a variation in opinions, and so many people,
especially in a place like Nashville, where Nashville is kind of like the more like liberal / libertarian kind of hub, where hipsters and people can kind of congregate and like just tolerate each other, and everyone's like, yeah, we're cool, we're having fun, blah, blah, blah. I don't care if you're a good old boy, I don't care if you're a hipster, we're just drinking, having a good time. Yeah. But then you drive, couple hundred miles that away, towards, like Bumfuckville, or like Dixon County, or somewhere out there. It's like, now you're in the shit. Now you're like that, like, don't come on this property. No, you voted for Hillary Clinton. I know you did. So it's kind of like it kind of gets a little scary, but at the same time, I think that's what makes this country kind of great. Is this kind of almost like push and pull. It gets us into trouble because we obviously can't make any fucking decisions because we can't like just sit down and say, hey, you're a human being. I'm a human being too. We have similar interests. We just focus on those. And
see, I love hearing Americans talk about these kind of things because it's so easy to have opinions. And I think me as a foreigner, I have my opinions, but at the same time, I don't necessarily always want to talk about my opinions because it's not always my right as a foreigner to talk about my opinion. So I think in the way I do it is by songwriting and those kind of things, because that way I can say what I want, but people can take it the way that they decide to take it.
Well, really, we have like, if anyone ever said like, you have no right to say that, it's like, well, this is a nation of immigrants. Like we're all from different parts of the world. Yeah. I'm from Italy. I mean, that's how my grandparents got here. My great grandmother was a mail order bride from Italy. Wow. Straight up.
Yeah.
She didn't speak a word of English.
Wow.
So it's like,
yeah, that's it's so funny with generations because you have some people are 11th generation of Americans, some of the originals and back from, the war and all these things, and then you have some people that are, I guess, like me. We'll see what happens, but as it is right now, I can't see myself not staying here for a long time. I created a career over here in a lot of ways, and so in some weird way, I'll be first generation, unless whatever can happen. But
well, that's an awesome way of looking at it.
And I still feel
it's
very
like you make your staple, and you bring your home with you here. And I think that's also what makes America great. Is like national pride is, I guess, okay, but like what makes this country great is other countries bringing their culture here and it blossoming into like this hodgepodge of different cultures, and it makes it like cool. It makes it like, wow, I've never seen anything like that before. That's
I want to
really
say
cool.
that Americans are very, very good at welcoming other cultures, way more than very established cultures, like for example the Scandinavians. We love what's going on in the world, and I think we are very inspired from it, but we are not as open-minded as Americans when it comes to understanding and accepting other cultures. Like, that's a very good point, and I think it's something really amazing about America, actually, that a lot of Americans also, they wish that they were somewhere else. I meet a lot of people that
grass is always greener.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like one of the things where I think it should almost be mandatory that when you're 20 years old, you have to travel the world for like the Mormons. You have to travel the world to see what's going on, because it's gonna make you come home and appreciate what you have. And this is really, this is something that has to do with religion. It has to do with culture in general, and also about the good things about America, the bad things about America, because you have so many beautiful things in America that I think people would appreciate more if they traveled more. And I know it has nothing to do with Mass Effect, but I just thought, we totally went off
that's
there.
Fine, whatever.
But I think that's there's always something great around the corner, and there's always something great in what you already have. Sometimes it's just hard to see what that is, because it's very, very easy to get caught up in your own life, and especially the way media works today. that you're always being reminded what you could have because you're watching Kardashians or something like that. There's always, people's lives are so different, but deep down we're all human beings, so we all dream of the same things, but sometimes we forget that the things we have and the people that we have in our lives, they are completely irreplaceable, and that's the thing that makes you who you are. And I think that's one of the most beautiful things about being alive, whether that means that you are from, if it means, doesn't change if you're from Denmark or if you're from America. Anyway, back to Mass Effect.
We could have just that little speech you did. I'll put a violin underneath it. It's like
sad
violin. No. It has to be like triumphant because it's it's very uplifting, kind of good way of looking at the world.
Yeah, I really think that sometimes it's hard. I forget that a lot, because my aspirations are sometimes bigger than it's kind of like a processor in a computer, that the processors are so fast now that they can do so many things, but my skills behind a computer, they haven't really developed except in Pro Tools. I've gotten pretty good at Pro Tools. But it's kind of similar like that sometimes our dreams, they travel a little further than reality, and then we get depressed because we don't see the changes the way that we wish that they were happening. And that's just one of those things that I think that's, again, just to go back to the computer games. That's why it's good. That's why computer games are great, because we live that world. Some people love watching TV, and I think for a non-gamer, that gives you just as much distraction from life as it does for a gamer.
That's a good point. Good point.
Yeah, because if I watch a TV show, it's gotta be good. Otherwise, my head is still thinking, maybe I should move the second chorus, or maybe I should I need to come up with a different melody.
You're always working, man.
Yeah, and that's not healthy. It's really not. You need to be able to disconnect from the world. So playing a video game, it's interactive. So unless you literally think, if I don't go over there, I'm gonna get killed. But if I go over there, I might find a treasure. Whatever you're thinking or whatever. Oh, I wonder what's on the other side. Oh, how do I make... it's too cold for me to go over there. How do I make, to take Mass Effect as an example, I need to somehow start terraforming this world. So because I'm thinking all these thoughts, then my mind is being distracted from
the song that you've been working on for the past 6 hours.
Actually, my manager, Alex, he's so great with this, because I don't know if you feel this way. I mean, probably not anymore, but I remember really feeling that it was embarrassing to tell people that I play video games. It was embarrassing, yeah.
Oh yeah, I still have that.
Yeah.
I still because especially as you get older, and maybe it's because the back when we were kids, we didn't know. If you told people you played video games, you were branded the nerd. You'd get your ass kicked at school. It was a bad thing. Nowadays, it's different. So, but still, that carried over to my adulthood. So I'm afraid to tell people I'm into playing Skyrim, and I've spent 60 plus hours playing this game. I'm afraid people will look at me as like, well, what have you done with your life?
Yeah.
Did you know that you could do something productive with your life with all those hours that you put into video games? It's like, I think I've done pretty well. I have my own house. I'm about to buy another one. I think I've done pretty well for myself. I think I deserve some fucking meditation time and with a controller in my hand. God damn it! Sorry.
No, but you're right, because that's what it is. I completely agree with you. So Alex, he's always telling me, "Did you play any video games?" And I'm like, no, I haven't played any video games. And he's like, "Dude, you gotta play some video games." and it took me a little while to understand what he was actually saying. But what he was saying was that because I do that, I am a happier guy, because it gives me some sort of break from thinking.
Yeah.
because even if you're having a conversation, sometimes your mind is still thinking, what if I, and you just don't do that with a video game. You're just in it. You're living a movie.
Yeah.
Because that's what it is,
Yeah,
really.
you're living
You're living an interactive movie, and I love that about video games. So I'm actually a proud gamer.
There you go.
I am. And I don't play as much as I used to, but I would lie if I said that if I say I don't play video games, or I didn't play that week, I'm sure I did. Even if it's on my phone, I'll play a game. There's always there's just the need for interactive connection from real life, and I think for some people it's TV, for some people it's sitting at the bar, for some people it's going rock climbing, for some people it's hiking, for some people it's driving somewhere or biking, or for some people it could be anything. But for kids it's playing games. For me and for you it's video games, and I think it's something to be proud of, that realization.
At the same time, though, you have to be careful not to let that be all of your life, just like anything, because I do have friends who have children who, their child plays a little bit too much, and it becomes a thing, it becomes like, you don't do your chores, and I had that problem as a kid too, where all I wanted to do was I wanted to play Final Fantasy VIII. I have to do this, Mom. I was like, and she did a good job. She like noticed. And she was like, you do all your chores, you do all your homework first, and then you get to play your game. And if I didn't do that, she would disconnect it all. Or Dad did, because she didn't know how to do it. But Dad did. And he would take my PlayStation and he would set it up in his room and be like, do all your shit first. And then, because that teaches you that while it is fun to. It's very easy, especially at a young age, to get lost in that world.
Absolutely.
Especially if the child is troubled or whatever, it's very easy to escape.
Yeah.
And while we use it to escape from like just being an adult and just being like, oh my gosh, I can deal with this right now. Let me just sit down and just relax for a second. Yeah. Children will use it to just escape from everything, like all the hard work that is needed to be a human being in this world.
There's such a fine line here, because so I was very, very depressed at some point, and I would play video games the entire time, and I would find excuses to do this. This is in Denmark, actually, not long before I moved to America with David.
And then became rock stars.
But before that, I was very, very depressed, like very, very depressed. And I think I have a lot of empathy for people going through a rough time because of that, because I understand. I really understand. And it wasn't even an escape. It was more like the way our minds work when we're feeling a certain way. Happy, sad, whatever, anything. The way our minds work is that we will always find ways to justify staying in that situation. So if we're feeling sad, the natural reaction to that is pity. Because when we grow up and say we're sick, right? We have the flu. Our mom will say, "Oh, little baby," and then it's a good feeling to know that somebody cares. So a lot of times, for me, my reaction was that people would say, "Oh, you're feeling bad," and then I started feeling self-pity, and I started finding all these reasons for constantly justifying staying in that same world. So my escape, or whatever you want to call it, was video games, and I would get so sucked into living in this world of online video gaming and talking to people that I had no other relationship with, and I would constantly stay away from the real world. But also, this is my point with it, is that I didn't know what my problem was. I didn't understand my problem. I just knew that it felt good to constantly justify my self-pity and stay away from the real world. I later on discovered what it was, and then I started dealing with it, and it hit me suddenly. I'm like, I don't want to be here anymore. I want to move past this. But because I didn't know what it was, and I don't know if that's necessarily related to kids, but because I think that also has to do with exploring their creativity and their imagination more than anything. Because I didn't know what it was some sort of escape that made sense for me later when I look back at it. This is gonna sound crazy. I wouldn't trade it for the world, because it made me more determined and more constructive and stronger than I ever was. And I think if I hadn't gone through that time, I wouldn't be able to appreciate the good things, and I wouldn't be able to stop myself from thinking and feeling bad, and stop myself from pitying myself when those situations happen again, and stop myself, more importantly, from freaking out and reacting to whenever I started feeling, so now I'm just gonna stay in and feel bad for myself. So in some weird way, the video gaming, that sounded like I was wasting my life away.
But in reality,
honestly,
it was
I would have wasted my life away on something else. I would have wasted my life away on bad things, probably, if it hadn't been for that. Because some people are just prone to going through something. We are all born with a set of culture that comes from our family, from bullying, from all these things, from feeling left out, from being the shit, from all these things are part of who we are as people, and you have to deal with that. So if your way of dealing with it is going that direction or that direction or that direction or that direction, that is different from person to person. All I know is that you are going to be fine if you are open to the fact that one day you're going to realize, oh my God, I did that, or I did that, or I did that. And in the end, all we can do is hope for a good life, right? And we can try our best to make it the way it is. But I don't know. This is my point. I don't know. I don't know what right and wrong is when it comes to doing something too much. Somebody's been in a relationship for 2 years and they say, "Oh, it was such a waste of time. It didn't work out." And no, it wasn't a waste of time.
Right.
You found out what you didn't want.
Right.
And you grew up in that relationship, and you found out that this person was too much or too little or whatever it was.
Yeah, well, because it comes it's interesting, especially when you're dealing with children, because, for example, like I played pretty violent video games. Like, how old was I when the first Resident Evil came out? I can't remember how old I was, but I was pretty young. I was definitely younger than the ESRB rating.
Yeah.
Was allowed you to play that game. But my mom brings this up to all of her friends all the time when they talk about like school violence or violent kids or whatever. And the argument is if a kid watches violent movies or violent anything, they're going to be programmed to be violent. Studies show that that's not necessarily the case. And in my case, I would play violent video games. I would play games like Manhunt. That fucking game where all you do is like tear off people's heads and your whole goal is to kill people. Like, that is the only goal in the game, is to murder people. And the more brutal you kill this person, the better you get, better you do in the game.
Wow.
But games like Resident Evil, there's blood everywhere, heads coming off. And I've never been in a fight in my life. Never been into a physical altercation except with my buddy Kyle. But he deserved it because we were 8 years old, and he was a kid that would wake up like at 7. I was the kid that would wake up at 10 on a weekend, like normal human beings, like normal children. And then he would like we'd be sleeping together on the big bed right here, and he would come up I'm just dead asleep, and he would come up and go, Shane, and he would like rub his hands on me, Shane, and it was so annoying.
So you punched him?
Oh yeah, I couldn't handle it. I was like, leave me alone.
That's so funny.
Leave me alone. And then finally one day I just went like full gorilla on him, and it was
That's
just like,
amazing. You guys are like brothers. I've definitely been in a fight with my brother, like bad fight actually. I remember once when we were little, my mom took us to we were looking for curtains, I think, and him and I got in a full-on fist fight in the curtain
in the store.
Yeah, she was so mad, and we must have been like 10 years old or something.
But I think
or
that's different.
12 or something.
I think that's the difference because when you're brothers, I mean, you just have. It's not.
It's
like,
different, yeah. I've
it's not
never
like
been in a fight either with you know. I was bullied like so much in school, and there was definitely options where I chose the
high ground,
the crying route, and the running away and crying instead of fighting back. And again, you know, these are all parts of making you who you are. Who knows? If that hadn't happened, maybe I wouldn't have been in America. Maybe we wouldn't have been doing this podcast.
Maybe you would have been an MMA fighter.
Maybe. You know, I think video game good parenting definitely helps. It's also like what's real and what's not real. You know, if you spend your when you're 6 to 10 years old and you run around in a video game with a flamethrower burning people, and maybe it's not that healthy.
Well, what my dad did, and man, it was so smart of him to do this because I am deathly afraid of guns because of this. And because my dad was born in Missouri, so he's kind of a good old boy, you know, but he he kind of has that accent and kind of talk like this a little bit, you know, he's Elvis. But he noticed that I was playing with a lot of toy guns, and you know, I started really liking guns and stuff like that. And so my dad and my uncle were shooting their guns out in Joplin, Missouri, while we were visiting my grandmother. And I was like, how old was I? 6? I can't remember how old. I was young. I was very young. And my dad brought me outside, and he's like, I want to show you something. I want to show you what a real gun is. And I want to show you that this is something to not be fucked with. He didn't say that to me, to my face, but he's just like, this is what happens with real guns. And I want to show you not to mess with these. If any of your friends have them, you run away, or you tell the nearest adult. And he had me hold the gun. It was a tiny gun too. It was like one of those like little, like 8 millimeters, you know, just like really shot at 22 or something like that. But still, holding that gun with my little tiny hands and shooting it, the power I felt in my hand was so scary that from that point on, I was like, I'm never touching a gun again. Never doing it. Never touching that gun. And then from that point on, I realized what a toy gun was and what a real gun was. Because, you know, a real gun has that heft to it. I've
actually never even held a real gun in my hand.
It's scary.
Yeah.
Not just recently, but the last time I held it. I'm not either, but like I can understand why people would want one because, you know, guns exist and people have guns, and but at the same time, like
protecting your family.
Yeah, but at the same time, like I can understand you wanting to like protect your family and stuff like that. But at this, I feel like people have this idea, like the whole idea of like if there's a shooter and he's shooting up the mall, and you know you need to, like people say like I'm going to conceal carry because just in case that happens, I want to shoot the gun shooter, and that's fine. But what if you're with your kids? And if you're with your kid's going to be holding on to you as the shooter's shooting people, and so now you have this distraction. Is like, you know, your kid is like holding onto your leg, and what are you going to do? You're going to start shooting at that point, or you know, like.
I mean, oof. I think that's a whole. Yeah. This is how I see it. I've just figured out who I am. I'm pretty happy with who I am. I'm very productive. I write music. I play video games. Mm-hmm. And if I were to be a dad, I wouldn't know what to do yet.
I don't think anyone does.
Because all these things, like another human being that's depending on you, I would be very, 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 very confused about that because I barely know myself.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just parenting in general. I mean, I think that's a scary thing, and you just gotta have
terrifying.
You just gotta have that realization that you're gonna fuck up. You're gonna do something to cause some serious damage to your child, and it's not gonna be your fault. Hopefully, it's just something that you did, maybe out of anger or by accident or something you said, and it's just like you're gonna leave imprints on your child somehow, which is scary. But once you have the realization that it's going to be okay, and as long as you try not to fuck up so much, I think you'll be fine.
Yeah.
I mean, it's but as as I get older, it's kind of like, man, having a kid right now would just be so hard on my life. And it's because if I'm gonna have a child and I have this choice to have a child, I want to do nothing but be a good father to that kid. But right now I have all these distractions and all these like things I want to do still that I don't want to have any regrets. Like, and it's like, oh man, I wonder if I didn't have this child of mine, like I wonder where my life would have gone, or if I would have waited, or stuff like that. But I don't know. It's
very.
I'm warming up to the idea though.
Yeah.
I love my wife, and we've been together for almost a decade now. It'll be a decade in December.
That's amazing.
So we're getting through it, but we're taking it slow. We're not gonna, she has aspirations and dreams that she needs to realize, and same with me. I still have a couple goals that I want to accomplish before I get into dad mode.
I like that. Yeah. Yeah. I think in my head it's like, what I love? I love just being alone, being creative. Like, what I did this morning when I woke up? I made myself some coffee. I played a little bit of Diablo for about an hour.
Which one? The original Diablo or
no?
Oh, Diablo 3.
Diablo 3. I got it for PlayStation now.
The PS4 version?
So addicting.
Dude, I had the Xbox 360 version actually. It was a lot of fun. The console version is actually a lot of fun.
Was that the Reaper of Soul version or before that?
Before that.
Okay.
It was before any of the DLC.
Gotten incredible.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things.
So I played a little bit on, like, this is how nerd I am. I actually have a gaming PC that I
need to get one.
I got
so
that because that box with the PlayStation system, it was a nightmare to set up.
Yeah, I imagine.
It's like setting up a TV and like cables and unpacking.
Yeah, you gotta plug it in somewhere.
It was crazy. So I decided, you know what, I'm gonna buy myself a gaming PC. So I got myself an MSI, super lightweight. It kind of overheats after a while, but it's amazing. It's 4K, great graphic card. It's awesome. So I got this gaming PC that I would bring out on the road, and then it was I would mainly use it at hotel rooms if we had a day off. I would set it up, make coffee, and nerd out on my video games. And I would play Diablo, and I loved it. Then the expansion came, and it literally changed the game. I'm sorry not to talk about Mass Effect here, because
no, we don't have to. We don't. Okay, we can talk about whatever the fuck you want.
It is. It's incredible. It's hands down the best hack and slash game that there is that I have ever tried.
It's crazy that it's become a hack and slash game because it wasn't before.
No,
it was a very like isometric like MMO.
Yeah, and it was scary, and it's not scary anymore. But it's really well done. And on console, it's almost like the game is made for console. It's weird.
I never
thought that was going to be the case. And the worst part is that my guy in Diablo on Battle.net, whatever PC version, Mac version, is pretty nasty.
What level is he?
He's like, I think it's not nasty compared to most people, but like Paragon 450 or something. It's like barbarian, just going crazy. I have like 3 level 70s. It's on that version. And granted, once you have one, you can level up another guy in 15 minutes. To level 70. If you have one and you have the right gear, you can just make all the gear level 1, and you just put it on. No, but you can do these greater rifts, and then you upgrade your gems, and if you upgrade a specific gem to level 25, put it into any item, it turns it into, or into that cube thing, it turns it into a level 1 item with all the stats of a level 70. So you make sure you get the ones that give experience, and then you put it on a new guy in a stash, shared stash.
Yeah.
And in 15 minutes you have a level 70 or level 65
Ooh.
or something. So that's pretty fun. Anyway, the console version, they do these season things, and if you start a seasonal hero, you start from scratch, and you, once the season is over, he becomes a regular hero. So next time there's a new season, it's kind of to give people so that there's, oh my god, I found a yellow item that's better than what I had. Where a lot of the people that play a lot, they'll keep hunting down a piece of gear that has a little bit better stats, which is, takes it, it's fun and everything, but it's not gonna make your character that much better. Once you hit, like that guy I have, and it's nothing crazy, but he can do like Torment 10 or something like that, which is like pretty up there. But in the console version, it's like the game is made for console. It's weird. The buttons it's exactly the amount of buttons you need to
really enjoy the game.
To really enjoy the game, and it just like the controls and the big TV makes it a little easier. And then the way you quick join and leave games and stuff like that, it's just really, really well done. I'm pretty impressed.
I need to get it again.
I got it like 3 days ago, and I
played
love
it. I played it for a little bit, and I just kind of got bored with it after a while.
How about you go home and buy it, and then we'll play together?
I think I'm gonna buy it again.
Yeah,
I'm gonna buy it again. Well, it's just like those dungeon crawlers kind of like wear on me a little bit sometimes.
That's the thing about this game, is that there's always a reason to do a little more, because of that's what you're gonna see. That once it switched to 2.0, because you played back.
Yeah, I played it when it first came out.
They changed everything. There's no auction house. It's just a very, very well done dungeon crawler.
Okay. Well, I'll have to get it again. I'll give that another shot.
Blizzard is kind of kicking ass.
Dude, Blizzard is kicking ass. You know what's funny? They had I was listening to a podcast. It was Kotaku Split Screen. And they had his name is blanking on me, but he is one of the lead programmers at Bethesda, who he was. Okay. He worked on Fallout 3 and Skyrim, and a little bit of Fallout 4, and he was talking about coding and stuff like that. And oh wait, I lost my train of thought. What were we talking about?
Blizzard.
Oh, Blizzard. And he mentioned that Blizzard's really good at just focusing on one project and just making sure it's finished and then releasing it. And that's why they release so little games. Yeah. Because like a company like EA, they put out games left and right. Yeah. And then that's kind of the problem that Mass Effect ran into, is because it kind of is incomplete when it first came out. As opposed to Blizzard, who said, we're making this game called Overwatch. Yeah. And this game's going to kick your fucking ass. Yeah, and it did.
Yeah, it
became like Diablo 3.
Yeah,
and this
it became the top. It became the top game in its genre. Like that and Call of Duty. I guess are kind of fighting. Call of Duty is realistic and the other one is not realistic, so that's why they both have their place, but both of them are like top of the pop. And there's probably some other ones that I don't know about, but then you have games like MOBAs.
I've never gotten into MOBAs.
MOBAs are really, really fun.
Really into MOBAs.
You know how it started? It's crazy, actually. So the same thing with tower defense games. I love tower defense games. It's like
Command and Conquer.
No,
not like Command and Conquer.
No, tower defense is that you have here's the monsters and here's your base, and they gradually get stronger and stronger, and you have to build towers. The more monsters you kill, the more you can upgrade your towers and make a detour for the monsters.
Okay, I never got into
so
those.
Somebody made they're so fun. they're so addictive. You can, if you look
obviously,
if you look at your phone and say tower defense, there's going to be a bunch of them showing up. They're really fun. They're the best way to make a plane ride happen in 2 seconds. So that was a Blizzard game. That was Warcraft 3, I think. Somebody made a mod to it. The same with a MOBA. I think it was somebody who made a mod to a Warcraft 3 map where he said, well, there's going to be 3 rows, and then both are going to release the exact same strength kind of minions that are gonna try and get over and to your defense, and your goal is to tear down all the towers and in the end tear down the fortress. And then the 5 heroes, you can run out, you gain levels. I think the first MOBAs You did gain levels, but you also had to buy equipment. I never really played. It was called Dota. Something?
Dota.
Day of the All Stars.
Yeah,
something
Dota.
like that. Yeah, that was the first version of the MOBA, and then now there's a lot of MOBAs out. There's League of Legends, and there's Paragon for PlayStation. All this stuff. Heroes of the Storm, Blizzard. It just wins. Like it is amazing. I heard League of Legends. I've never played the other ones. I think I tried and it didn't really capture me. But then, is it called League of Legends?
Yeah, it's called League of Legends. Yeah, I do know that, but I've never played it, and I don't keep up with all that. All the MOBAs, good, because League of Legends, all those MOBAs though are competitive.
Yeah,
you know,
they're
like they have
highly competitive.
Like
I bet
huge
League of
competitions
Legends
across
is
the country.
awesome. Yeah, I bet that one is awesome. I've never played it, but Heroes of the Storm, it's amazing. And then, of course, the most epic MMO in the world is World of Warcraft. That is still to this day probably has 10 million players. At the peak, I think it had 14 million that each paid $15 a month.
I can't do it. I can't do the pay to play model where you pay monthly and play. Obviously, it's worked out for them.
You know the good thing about pay to play is?
What's the good thing? It
is that everybody's equal. If you play a game where it's free to play, but you can pay for extra. There's always somebody with an advantage over you. That's a good thing about
that is a very good point. A lot of people hate free to play because of that. Yeah. Because even if it's a single player
it's
campaign,
not going to be free to play.
It's kind of like
if you spend $60 on the deluxe pack, you're definitely going to have an advantage, and you get to be a different species or whatever. Those kind of things. Yeah. There's a lot of games like that. And then what's the last one from Blizzard? Well, then there's the dungeon crawlers, Diablo. I mean, I think that is definitely the top dungeon crawler.
Oh, for sure. I would imagine, yeah, for sure.
They're just really good. Oh, and StarCraft too. StarCraft is like, Command and Conquer.
You don't hear much about StarCraft anymore.
No.
Like it was like huge news when it came out, StarCraft 2. For like, I don't know, what was it, 2008 that it came out?
I never
and then kind of died off.
Actually, really weird because I love sci-fi. I never played it. I think it's just, it felt like, I don't know, it just didn't feel like something I wanted to play. And I think it was half finished too when it came out, actually. Funny enough. It only came out with one half of the game. You weren't able to complete until the second half came out. You had to buy that too.
That's a little weird.
Yeah, it was something, I don't know if they just released it because they weren't done or what it was. But
I don't know what that's all about. Well, I gotta wrap this up, man. I think we talked for like about 2 hours.
Did we really?
I think so.
Video games and life.
Yeah, video games and life. We went on a couple tangents there, but all good. I don't have a format for this, so I just want people to say their mind. And this was a really good one. This was a lot of fun. So I thank you, Soren Hansen. Thank you so much for doing this, man.
That's fun.
And we'll do it again because I live 15 minutes away from you.
That's crazy.
And so, do you want to tell anybody where to see you guys next? When are you guys playing again?
Sure.
When are you guys releasing your other album?
We're finishing a lot of things, production, mixing, all that stuff is like being done right now. It's exciting. I think the album is really, really good, and we're out promoting One of Us, and people are loving it, and
such a good song too, man.
I love that. It's definitely a really personal song to us, and it has a really positive message, and I think that's great. It's doing really well, so that's awesome. And then we're gonna be out with 311 all summer. We're doing a bunch of festivals, and then the 2 months with 311 is gonna be so much fun.
I'll tell you this: I can't wait to steal your record and put it out on torrents.
I love that.
Man, it's such a good fucking record. All the songs that you've showed me so far, man, I'm just like, this is just a really fucking good record.
Thank you so much.
Every single song has its own flavor, and One of Us it's just so catchy.
Thank you.
And then the other songs that you show me, which I won't tell anybody, but yeah, it was good. It was really good.
Thank you.
All right, Soren, I will see you next time.
Thanks for having me, Shane.
Thanks, guys, for tuning in to the podcast. I fucking love that dude. I've been trying to get him to move to Nashville ever since I've met him. stop him from throwing his fucking money away on rent in New York, because it's just crazy. I don't see how anyone can live out there. If you do live out there, that's great. New York's awesome. I love New York. Still though, I don't see how you all are able to make that much money. Anyway, it's been a treat for him to be like 15 minutes away. Because he's just become one of my really, really good friends, and it's really awesome when you meet new people, especially on the road, because you don't know how they're going to be when you meet a new band. You're the two opening bands, and you don't know how, they could be dicks, because that does happen. That does happen when you're on the road and you get a dick band, and they don't like to talk to you. They think they're all that and everything, and you're just like, okay, all right, cool. This tour will be great. It's going to be fantastic. So, welcome, Soren, to Nashville. But no more people. No more. Nashville is full. We don't need any more people. Well, except for Louis V. Louis, you and your girl are welcome. You guys can come here from New York anytime. With open arms, we will get you in here. But nobody else. Nobody else. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Wise Drums, and my Instagram, Wise Drum Official, and my Facebook, also Wise Drum. Everything is Wise Drums. My Twitter is The Wise Drums. I lost my blue check because I wanted to change it from I_am_Masamoon. It's way too complicated of a name. It was just, I'm silly. I don't know social media. I don't know how to social. I don't know how to do it. Subscribe to the podcast, and please rate it if you like it, because that will help me climb the mountain of amazing podcasts out there. As far as drum covers are concerned, I'm working on it. I swear I'm working on it. I don't have a studio to play loud in. I live in my house, and my house doesn't have like a convenient place to play drums right now, because of noise complaint and stuff like that. So I'm working on it. I'm actually going over to my buddy's studio next week to figure some sounds out for the new electronic drum set I got, the infused kit that I got that retrofits on top of your actual drum set. So I'm excited to get into that and use that. Yeah. So that's it. Thanks for listening, guys, and stay tuned for more episodes. And you guys have a fantastic day / evening / whatever. All right, guys. See you later.